You open your refrigerator, grab the milk, and it's warm. Every hour your refrigerator stays above 40 degrees increases the risk of food spoilage, so the sooner you find the problem, the better. Before you spend a single dollar on a repair or replacement, check these 7 things first. At least 5 require no tools, no experience, and no technical knowledge, and one of them fixes more warm refrigerators than almost anything else. Let's start narrowing this down right now. Grab a refrigerator thermometer, place it on a middle shelf, and leave it for 30 minutes. Your fridge should read between 35 and 38 degrees Fahrenheit. Above 40, you have a real problem. Cold in some spots but warm in others points to an airflow issue, and those are usually simple fixes. Also listen. A healthy refrigerator cycles on and off. If yours is running constantly and never cycling, it's working overtime because it can't reach its target temperature, and the problem is getting worse by the hour. Now here's the first check. It takes 30 seconds and rules out one of the most common causes of a warm refrigerator. Temperature controls get bumped. Digital displays reset after a power flicker. And many refrigerators have separate controls for the fridge and freezer, meaning one section can be set completely wrong while the other seems fine. Your fridge should be set between 35 and 38 degrees Fahrenheit. Your freezer should be set to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. If your fridge uses a numbered dial, the highest number is the coldest setting. A lot of people have that backwards. Set it correctly, leave it alone for 24 hours, and check with your thermometer in the morning. If the settings were right all along, good, you've ruled that out. Now let's look at the check most people never think about, and it might be the one costing you right now. Your refrigerator removes heat. It doesn't generate cold. The condenser coils are how it does that. When they get coated in dust and debris, they can't release heat properly. The fridge runs harder, runs longer, and eventually can't keep up. If you have pets, this builds up twice as fast. On most refrigerators, the coils are behind the lower front grille or behind an access panel on the back. Pop off the grille and shine a flashlight in there. A thick gray mat of dust and hair means this is your problem. The fix: unplug the fridge first. Use a coil cleaning brush, about $8, to loosen the buildup, then vacuum it out. Plug it back in and give it a few hours. I've seen refrigerators that looked completely dead come back to life after nothing more than a coil cleaning. Clean these every 6 months if you have pets, once a year otherwise. A fridge fighting dirty coils also draws significantly more power than it should, so this fix can lower your electricity bill too. If the coils are clean and the settings are right, the problem is somewhere else. Here's where things get interesting. The rubber gasket around your door creates an airtight barrier when it closes. When it fails, warm air seeps in constantly, and the compressor runs non-stop trying to compensate. The test: place a dollar bill against the seal, close the door on it, and try to pull it out. If it slides out with little resistance, your seal isn't working. Run this test at several points around the door, top, bottom, both sides. Also look at the gasket itself. Feel for cracks, stiff spots, or areas that have pulled away from the door frame. Check for mold buildup in the folds of the rubber. That alone can prevent a proper seal. Clean it first with warm, soapy water and retest. If cleaning doesn't fix it and the gasket is damaged, you can replace it yourself. Your model number is on a label inside the door frame. Most replacement gaskets run $20 to $60. No special tools. You pull the old one out and press the new one in. What if the door seals perfectly and the coils are clean? Then we move to a cause that's completely invisible until you know where to look. Cold air circulates inside your refrigerator through vents along the back panel. Block those vents and you cut off the cold air supply to entire sections of the fridge. A homeowner packed his fridge after a big grocery run, and 2 days later, his produce was warm. The problem was a single container wedged directly in front of the main vent. He rearranged, and within 12 hours, the temperature was back to normal. Look at the back wall of your fridge. Are the vents blocked by food? Is anything pressed flat against the back wall? Rearrange and give it half a day. A refrigerator works best when it's moderately full, about 2/3 full, with enough space for air to move freely. If airflow isn't the issue, we move to a check that can look like a major failure, but often isn't. Your refrigerator has an automatic defrost system. a heater that runs periodically to melt frost off the evaporator coil. When it fails, frost keeps building until the coil is completely encased in ice and can't cool anything. The sign: your freezer is still partially cold, but your refrigerator section is warm. Open the freezer and look at the back panel. A thick slab of ice where there shouldn't be any confirms it. To diagnose it, unplug the fridge, remove the food, put towels down, and leave both doors open for 24 to 48 hours until all the ice is melted. Plug it back in. If it cools correctly, the automatic defrost system is failing and you'll need a technician for the repair. Knowing this before calling a technician can save diagnostic time and may save you money on unnecessary repairs. What if there's no visible frost on the back panel, but there's still an airflow problem inside the freezer? Then we look at something related but different. Inside your freezer, small vents connect to the refrigerator compartment below. When ice forms right at those openings, which happens when drainage backs up, airflow stops and the refrigerator section warms up even if the freezer is running fine. Look at the back wall of your freezer, specifically around the vent openings. Ice concentrated there is your blockage. Fix it with a hairdryer on low or warm water poured carefully over the ice. Once clear, cold air flows through again. For the long-term fix, clear the drain tube, a small tube on the freezer floor that carries melt water out. A blocked drain causes water to back up, freeze, and reblock the vents repeatedly. Clear it with a turkey baster and warm water. Both fixes are fully DIY. But if the problem keeps coming back, that points to a failing defrost system. Check 5. If your vents are clear and frost isn't the issue, we're at the last check. This is the one that, caught early, can save you from a very expensive repair. Your refrigerator has 2 fans. The evaporator fan inside the freezer circulates cold air through both compartments. The condenser fan near the compressor pushes air across the condenser coils. If either one slows down or fails, cooling stops fast. One homeowner thought his refrigerator had completely failed because the freezer was cold, but the fridge was warm. The problem turned out to be a failed evaporator fan. A $40 part fixed what looked like a $1,000 replacement. To check the evaporator fan, open the freezer door and press the door switch, the small button inside the door frame. The fan should run. If it's faint, stuttering, grinding, or silent, the evaporator fan is struggling. For the condenser fan, pull the fridge from the wall, unplug it, and remove the back access panel at the bottom. Spin the blades manually. They should turn freely. If they're stiff or seized, that's your problem. If you hear grinding, squealing, or clicking noises from either fan, that's another strong sign the motor is failing. On many refrigerators, fan motors are inexpensive and can be replaced as a DIY repair if you're comfortable doing basic appliance work. 4 things homeowners do in a panic that make the problem worse. Cranking the temperature to maximum. It forces the compressor to run without cycling and adds mechanical stress without solving the actual problem. Rapidly unplugging and replugging the fridge. Compressors need a few minutes after shutoff to equalize pressure before safely restarting. If you've been doing this, unplug the fridge, wait 10 full minutes, then plug it back in once, throwing ice bags inside the refrigerator. Use a cooler to protect your food. Ice in the fridge makes it harder to diagnose the problem. Replacing the refrigerator before diagnosing it. Most cooling failures cost $50 to $200 to fix. New refrigerators start at $600. Run through these checks first. Start with the fastest checks: temperature settings, door seal, airflow. Under 10 minutes, no cost. Then move to condenser coils, frost, vents, and fans in that order. Each check narrows down the real cause. Call a technician if you've gone through all 7 and found nothing. At that point, you're likely dealing with a refrigerant leak or compressor failure. Neither is DIY territory. Call if frost buildup confirmed a defrost failure and you're not comfortable replacing the part yourself. And if the fridge is over 15 years old and the compressor is failing, have the cost-benefit conversation before authorizing a repair. When you do call, tell them which checks you've already completed. It cuts diagnostic time and lowers your bill. Most refrigerators don't fail overnight. They give you warning signs for days or even weeks. A fan that sounds different, food that doesn't stay quite as cold, a compressor that runs a little longer than it used to. Ignore those signs, and one morning, you're throwing away food and wondering why the refrigerator suddenly quit. If one of these 7 checks fixes your refrigerator, come back and tell us which one it was. Your comment might save someone else hundreds of dollars. Subscribe for more practical homeowner fixes, because the next thing that breaks in your house is probably easier and cheaper to fix than you think.